It's all organic. And that's what my company is based on. Absolutely 100%. And then the clients, because they're loving people, they're heart-centered people, they're caring for children, right? And so they're doing this amazing work to impact our little ones and take care of them. And they feel the love too. And that's the best part too, is that they know it's genuine. They know it's real. It's not some made up crap that I say on stage, and it's authentic.
Welcome to Reward, the podcast of The Trust. We are the show specifically for women entrepreneurs who want to build businesses into the multi-million-dollar revenues and beyond, but especially because we know the reward is much greater than that. I'm Allie Brown, and I'm excited to introduce you to these diverse female leaders from a variety of industries, women making huge impact and who are unwilling to settle for the status quo. On the web, visit jointhetrust.org to learn more about our modern community for forward-thinking 7- and 8-figure women entrepreneurs. That's jointhetrust.org. See you there. Now, get ready to enjoy this episode's powerful conversation. Welcome to Reward, the podcast of The Trust. This is the show for women who want to build businesses into the 7, 8, even 9 figures and beyond. But because of the immense rewards that come with it, it's a deeper conversation. We're going to be interviewing some incredible women from a variety of backgrounds and industries. And today we're starting with the incredible Kris Murray of the Childcare Success Company. And I didn't know you, 2020 Inc. 5000. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Honey, 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row. Why doesn't your bio say that?
I don't know.
You need a new marketing
okay.
person. Yeah, tell them. You're like, it doesn't matter. Does it really matter?
Yes.
The largest business coaching organization for the early learning field. So some people may not even understand what this means and what this is. Can you start off explaining more about what your company does?
Absolutely. So when I discovered the world of preschool and daycare as a mom, it became very quickly apparent to me that they were all a beautiful group of education-based professionals and educators and teachers, but they did not have a very good savvy sense of running a business. And even if it's a nonprofit, it still needs to be run as a successful business with best practices. So having recognized that, our company provides coaching, business coaching for preschools, daycares, childcare centers around the world, and help them elevate themselves and their teams and their leadership teams so that they can serve children and families in a bigger way with more impact and more ease. And so that's what we do. And we're the first coaching organization in the world to kind of like carved the path for this space 13 years ago, Allie, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. When you had this idea, did it hit you really strongly, or was it kind of something that percolated over time and you were thinking, you know what, I think this could be a business that could help a lot of people?
It hit me at a time that I was looking. I basically asked the universe for the niche, the affinity group of people that I could have an impact with, because I wanted to get into coaching consulting and get out of the manufacturing field that I was working in with my brother, which I hated. So it hit me in yoga class, of all things, that I just was laying there in Shavasana pose, and my kids were next door at the nanny.
I don't even know what that is. Can you do it right now?
Shavasana it's corpse pose. It's at the end of yoga, when you get to just lay there on the mat and do
that's
nothing.
My favorite
that's
part when I've done that.
See?
Yeah,
exactly. So I was in that at the end, and it just hit me. Like I literally had a moment of divine voice of childcare. And so I went home and I started Googling, and here we are today with close to an 8-figure business. It's just been an amazing ride.
Do you think that, we had a brief conversation the other day to talk about, this interview, and I wanted to learn a bit more about your background, which every time I talk to you, I find something new that I didn't know before. Do you think it's unusual for women sometimes to see a business opportunity and go for it without prior experience in that particular field versus you see a lot more guys doing that, saying, here's a business opportunity, and they'll just go create a business for it, instead of saying, oh, I I am this, and so I'm going to create a business around it. Do you know where I'm going?
Yes. I absolutely think that women are more reticent to be bold and be ballsy, to go after an idea that they see, whether or not they have experience or, I had an affinity with preschool daycare because my kids were in it. So I was coming at it from the mom's perspective. Mm-hmm. And so I brought a lot of value from a marketer. I call it my marketer hat and my mom hat blended. And that's how I got started with it. This is what your clients are seeing, guys. And so from that voice, I was able to gain some credibility, but I was, we can talk about self-doubt and the pitfalls in the journey, but because I never actually ran my own daycare business, I did have some imposter syndrome. And I think the guys don't have that. Like male entrepreneurs, much more so than women, I think, have.
Yeah.
Just that, that mindset of they just go into it. They're more risk averse. They just, and they're less identity focused. And so they just, so I do think that that's a very powerful thing to notice, Allie.
Yeah. It's interesting because once you learn all these business principles and marketing, don't you like walk into every business now? Like the other day, and I'm like, I could start a karate school. You know what I mean? Because you see
Totally.
These places doing business so badly. You're like,
so
oh my
badly.
God, even just some basic competence in this town, in this area, no matter what it would be.
Yes.
You'd be like, I could go kick it. Like I would totally kill it. And so I think once you start to feel that way, it becomes more of a thing versus when you're starting.
And, we talk often about that we were one of the only two women in the early days of the Dan Kennedy tribe and hanging out with the guys. But having that training inside of me as well, that I went to the Renegade Millionaire Retreat 2006. I saw you brought up to stage. I was like, wow, who is she? She's gorgeous. But that was inside of me, that like basis of any business we can look at and we could instantly add 10 or 20 or 30% of revenue and profit to that business based on what we know.
It was such a great background.
Yeah. Karate school, preschools, but that's exactly what I did. I looked at what was happening to me as a potential client prospect of this niche, daycare, childcare, preschool. And I was like, these guys are horrible at marketing, sales, and follow-up. Like I could really show them something. So I did. And that's how I started. Literally, I started as a childcare marketing consultant, showing them how to attract and keep more clients.
How did you start? Was this mail? Was it internet? Like, what did you do?
I started a boot camp on a website. I created a website. And I started trainings and boot camps and webinars online and reaching out to them. And then going to conferences, boots on the ground, because where they all hung out, another like gem is find out where your ideal clientele, your avatar, is hanging out and just go there. And, so I would schlep my stuff around and take all the stuff in the booth and and I'm sweating and putting my booth together. And
you had a wheelie cart.
A wheelie cart all across the country. Yeah, I did. I had a wheelie cart. And I needed to do that because I needed to start making a name for myself and get my word out there. And I was a one-woman show, and that's how I started.
What was the place where you first, knew like, oh my gosh, this is going to be big. Like this is something that's really needed and it's starting to take off. It may have been rocky, but you're like, okay, whoa, this is going to take off.
When I wrote my first book, The Ultimate Childcare Marketing Guide, it propelled me into a whole new sphere. And that was 3 years after I technically hung out my shingle on June 1st, 2009, quit my day job working for my brother in the manufacturing plant. Thank God. And 3 years later, my book was born. And the minute I had written a book, it gave me instant authority. They teach you, author is part of the word authority. Mm-hmm. And I went to a big national conference and everyone was flocking to my booth. And I had a big spinny wheel. So luckily I shipped it. I didn't have to bring that in on the wheelie cart, but so I had a line of people wanting to work with me, wanting my free book, wanting me to autograph their book, wanting me to, book me as a consultant. And I was like, okay, Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes. Let's.
Okay. I had the holy shit moment, the oh shit moment. I was like, this is great. This is happening. And that was the moment. So yeah, 3 years in.
So you very deliberately positioned yourself. I mean, you had the knowledge, you knew you could help them, but that book was a deliberate decision to position yourself in that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Again, following the Dan Kennedy teaching, which he said, writer downer, all my best leads come from books. My book buyers, people who read my books, are my best leads because they've spent time with me, time spent listening to podcasts, time spent reading, time spent following, time spent on your YouTube channel. All of these things are what then will frame somebody to buy from you, and pretty easily buy from you. Like, I know if a woman has spent 5 hours on my YouTube watching all my teaching videos, she's pretty easy to turn into a coaching client, And so same with books. So I knew, and no one else in my niche, I wanted to always stay ahead of the game and always be the most innovative and the person at the forefront. And no one in my niche had written any books. And so on business.
Do you think today would matter just as much?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I see people vacillating with the book thing. I do think it still carries so much weight. There's something to that, even if you self-publish or wherever you do. But there's something about that medium that conveys an air of authority versus other types of media more so. And has a lot of information.
I still believe in it. I still believe books. We grew up with and are still growing up as little kids with storybooks. And so books are part of our culture. Yes, we have social media and we have all the other things. But to me, at the end of the day, the book is the most powerful medium for sure. Tell
us about, you've shared some things in the trust that I know we won't share outside the trust. That's why it's the trust, right? About, trials and tribulations, as you were growing, and it really helped a lot of other women in the room to hear. On the show today, what can you share about some of the roadblocks that you did hit, or moments where you were like, oh, wow, didn't see this coming. How are we going to navigate?
Yeah. The ultimate moment where I really thought I might not make it is I had hired a junior coach and was positioning that person to be elevated, to be, I really saw her as a daughter, kind of, and as a mentee, as someone that could potentially grow up to become CEO someday. Like, I was really, really mentoring her. And she left the organization in a huge shock and sued me. And I had no idea that this was going to happen. And it broke my heart. It was actually just like extremely devastating to me emotionally, and broke my heart. And so I had to retool the entire business because all of the clients that she had been coaching came back to me, and I had to dive in double duty and coach everyone and basically double up my calendar so that I could do coverage because I had no one else. And so that moment, it took me about 48 hours to find my feet, find my landing. And then I just said to myself, and I remember saying to my mother, I'm going to go hire myself an army of coaches. And this is never going to happen to me again. It was
the one working for you, right?
Yeah.
It was like one, and now you wanted to go with. Do you mind asking what did she sue you for?
I'm not able to speak about it.
Boo. Yeah. Okay, but great lesson. And okay, I have to mention who Dan Kennedy is because he's coming up, and some people may not know.
Yes, let's talk about. Yeah,
because they're like,
Dan.
Who is this guy? Is he like a TikToker? They're probably on TikTok. Like, I got to find this Dan Kennedy guy. No, he's old. He's semi-retired. I think he's still around, and he was influential, monumental in the kind of training of my mind, and I know Kris's mind, in like really solid direct marketing and business principles. And I remember him saying something that relates to what you just shared, and it was the worst number in any business is one. So never relying on one specific employee, one specific coach, right? So you built now a team of coaches that are, for the most place, like, for the most part, interchangeable, replaceable, right? Like no one's truly, there's going to be different, but
Yes,
you have that power of the group now versus relying on one person to be it all. And
that's right.
that is such a safety safety guard for your company now.
So everyone should take this lesson because there's probably somewhere in your business that you still have a dependency on one, whether it's one stream of traffic, one traffic source, one financial person that you're dependent on to, anything that if that person got hit by a bus,
Right.
you'd be screwed. And so the homework is go back to your business and look, how can you replicate or at least document all the processes and passwords and systems that that person's responsible for. So if and when you lose them, I would like to see you have 3 to 5 traffic sources that bring you 100 leads a month, not one, of course. So that's just a really, really, that's of all the things I learned from Dan, that's probably the most important because I lived it too, and so
Yes.
that, it happened to me. So I've had a lot of things I've had to, dive into the journey. And it was there have been times that have been bleak. Every entrepreneur has bleak times in his or her journey. And so if you're going through it right now, you're not alone. It happens to all of us. It's going to end. And so you got to just kind of pull up your bootstraps and go put your feet on the ground and go to work. And then you'll get through it. And that's the best advice I could give is that come to a place of acceptance. Don't resist it. Don't, try to move past the pissed off stage as fast as you can. And the hurt state, I went through grief, real grief on this one. It was rough. I didn't really want to get out of bed. And that was the only time in my whole life that I really faced wanting just to pull the covers over my head and hide from the world.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I didn't. I put my feet on the ground. I got up. I pulled up my big girl panties. I went to work. And so that's what we do as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. There's very few past clients or colleagues I can think of that are at the levels of the 7 and 8 figures who have not had some version of betrayal is a good word. I mean, really like that when you really trust someone or even mentoring them and hoping to bring them up like to your level. And then something happens and it could look many different ways, but it's always a conversation that's interesting because they'll say, oh, is this normal? Has this happened to other people? That's why, ladies, it's so important to be around other women at that level because we do process things differently. It's a different way that we often, navigate through these things, but it's important to know, what Kris did here, what you did was so important. I mean, you have 2 choices. You stop or you can keep going.
Right.
I mean, you can't stop. You can't stop when you're building this thing. It's your life's work. It's your passion. It's incredible. And then wasn't that though, in the end, the best thing to happen for you?
It was a huge blessing. Now I can look back and thank that person, that situation for opening my eyes to that dependency on one person. And the minute that at that point, then I hired 3 coaches and now we have 8 coaches. And this was 6 years ago that this all happened. So, the best thing for the business, because it allowed me to retool, re-examine, and then scale.
Yeah.
And you got to scale. That's the thing. Women, I think a lot of times scale more slowly than the guys. Guys are just, again, the ball's out. Like, let's go. Let's get some investors. Let's hire people. Let's go. Let's scale. Let's get and women are more reticent to, maybe a little bit more fearful in my experience. And I coach women primarily. So I'm speaking from a place of experience, but you got to scale. You got to get yourself out of the bottleneck position. And until you do that, it's going to be painful and you're not going to grow.
You mentioned that every year you choose a word, and this past year your word was love. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So not only myself, so I got this from another mastermind group I was in. And they have it's myintent.org. I'll give them a shout out. Myintent.org will create a word for you on a bracelet. It's on my wrist right now. And I get them all for my team every year. So it's kind of a fun team building thing. At the beginning of the year, everybody chooses their word for their year, their theme. And then we order bracelets and we pay for it. And then everybody gets shipped their bracelet because we have a virtual team of about 25 people. And it's cool. My word is love this year. I'm on a journey of intense following what I love and self-love. And self-love sounds real cheesy and kind of cliche, but really diving into loving all the parts of you that when you were little, you might have been conditioned to a certain thing, that maybe you were told certain things by your parents and your grandparents or your brothers and sisters or kids at school. And there might be, lingering things about yourself that you truly don't love, that you actually might even have self-loathing for. You might have just put it away in a little compartment in your body and not thought about it because it's like, I don't want to think about that. I'm fine. And it's like, are you really fine? So it's really diving in to all those layers. But love represents for me, like I'm going towards the rewards that this business has offered me. And we'll talk about that. But what do I want my life to be? I'm going into my next phase. I'm going into empty nester phase in the fall. I'm taking my daughter, to school in Savannah, Georgia in September. And then the world is my oyster. Like, what do I want? Literally, it's going to be me and my puppy because I'm divorced. So
and the Porsche.
And the Porsche, of course, the 911. Yeah. And I love the 911. Let's just say I do. I love that sports car because of not the fact that it's a 911. There's a little bit of that. But it's more how you feel. It's your feeling. If you feel love in your day, is just, I want a reminder on my wrist about that. It's at the end of the day, we are here on this planet to love big, to love hard, to love deep. And we need to remind ourselves of that sometimes, I feel. So at least I'm doing it for myself.
It seems to be part of your company culture, though. It seems to be.
It is.
You're interesting because you have like a hard candy shell, but on the inside, you're like chocolate yummy. You know what I mean? I've gotten to know you so well. So like on the surface, you're kind of like this badass. That's how I knew you from the back. Back in the days, and then. In the last few years, just getting to know you, I love all these just layers of who you are. And there is this immense love for the people around you and the impact you're making. I mean, so is it a value of the company? Does it go that far in there?
It does. It's not a stated core value, but it should be because we were just on an all-team call. We do once a month, and I was just on that call right before I got on the line with you today, like an hour ago. And at the end of our all teams every month, we all do shout outs. And so we're on Zoom and everybody's shouting everybody out. And there's like, people are throwing hearts and shouting each other out, and it's all organic. And that's what my company is based on. Absolutely 100%. And then the clients, because they're loving people, they're heart-centered people, they're caring for children, right? And so they're doing this amazing work to impact our little ones and take care of them. And they feel the love too. And that's the best part too, is that they know it's genuine, they know it's real. It's not some made up crap that I say on stage, and it's authentic. So yeah, we are all about that. And I think it's interesting you said the hard shell, because a lot of people have come up to me lately and been like, well, you're a bad bitch, or you're a boss babe, or you're a hard shell, customer, or you're a blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? I don't see myself as that hard shell, but a lot of people have said that. And I have to recognize and look in the mirror. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a Scorpio, so I have that sting. I don't know why.
Yeah, there it is. There you have it. Oh man, you're so full of love, but I wouldn't want to be caught in a back alley with you in a fight. Like,
there you go.
You'd kill me. I just think you just got the fight. Scorpio. Yep. Yeah. Yep, I got it. Yeah. Yeah. So Something else that came to light, in one of our conversations is, well, part of this conversation, right? The layers to you is and has been this spiritual journey, which probably relates to the self-love and
Yeah.
what you were talking about. And can you share more about that and how that has helped you, become a better leader?
Yes, for sure. It's helped me in my leadership. So I started being familiar with Eckhart Tolle about a decade ago, and kind of put it aside and didn't really think about it. And then somehow he came back into my life. And I went to an Eckhart Tolle retreat in Hawaii, in Maui, last November, and spent a week with him and his wife. It was a big conference. There was about 600 people there. And so it was just super special to be with him and around his energy. And it's really about the work of presence and stillness and listening to your intuition and your body, and trying to quiet the voices in our heads. I feel like we, especially women, I'll say, every human has to grapple with all of our thoughts. We have incessant thoughts. They're coming all the time. And so in order to be still and present and quiet, which is why I think the meditation movement has popped, so many more people are meditating now than they were 5 years ago, is that just being present and noticing and watching, being the watcher of your thoughts instead of being all consumed by the thoughts, and just having that observational look at yourself and being just the awareness. It's just being aware. So I'm just diving into that more over the last year for sure. And I've been doing some inner work with a mentor, a couple of mentors in this area as well, directly through direct coaching, and trying to work through the layers of my conditioning, my stuff I've been holding on to, stuff that I have let go of a lot. I've been doing a lot of work on myself, on my inner work. And it's definitely helped me be more present as a leader, be less reactionary. I take a moment, I consider and ponder. I don't react, I respond. When I'm ready, I go with my feeling and my intuition much more deeply than I used to, and trust it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these practices will really help you be a more present, more powerful leader, just because the power is inside of us. It's not external. And a lot of us are looking for happiness and joy and fun and stuff externally. And that's not where it's at. It's inside. And so when I really got that, now I'm just so much more relaxed. Everybody in my team is like, you're so much more chill.
Yeah. Go to more of these workshops, Kris.
Yes, please. Exactly. Because I know. Because I am. I'm pretty blissed out. My day-to-day existence is pretty yummy, very yummy. And I just, I'm just present and happy, and I don't, nothing, not a lot gets under my skin anymore.
Yeah. Do you make a lot of your, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just early days as a business owner, entrepreneurs, clawing, trying to get from 6 figures to 7 figures, which was in the first 4 or 5 years. I went over that mark. That was a very, you're just pushing that boulder uphill. And so that was a very different me. I've actually become a completely different person through this.
Yeah. I wonder if many of us are at this stage too, because it's almost during that time we had something to prove to ourselves that we could do it, and I don't know if it's a combination of age and where we're at now, or also for many women in their journey, they start off having to prove to themselves what they're capable of. And then there comes this place, it's like, I know what I'm doing. And then you trust your intuition more. You make decisions from the internal more. We back it up with good business evidence and, opportunities and
right.
Risk reward. But I do see the women who are making some of the bolder moves are really in a place of trust and
yes.
trusting themselves. And so I'm going to imagine it's a blend of both for you. Like you're looking for, the evidence and the growth, and there's a plan and you're working the plan, but now there's this evolutionary leader in you that's taken it to a whole new level.
All the parts of my business now are being shored up with investment of, for example, we don't have a full-scale CFO on board. Those are very expensive to employ, but my amazing finance manager was open to, hey, let's hire a CFO consultant to come in and help us shore up the financial metrics and analytics so that we can really see profit margin by level of coaching, for example. So all the stuff that we're delivering, what are the different levels of profit per coaching level? So we can understand which one should we spend, which one should we market more? What is our pricing structure looking like? Like if we're making 30% profit on the highest level, but only 10% profit on the lowest level, is that the right strategic thing to do? But we don't have that data right now. So actually, Andrea Jensen in the trust, there's a lot of business being done amongst the ladies inside the trust, I'll just say.
Yes.
And I'm working with Brandy on a new website, and I'm one of Andrea's clients on CFO, and I love it. And so those are things that I'm doing now that I don't question the investment, because I know that it's going to make us stronger and enable us to scale into 8 figures. And so that's where I'm playing now, is just, I know in my gut when I'm making these business decisions that it's the right thing to do. And I don't have any fear around the investment or around and there's that, when you're starting out, it's that hemming and hawing, well, should I create this funnel, or should I go hire that coach, or should I launch this thing, or,
Huge
and so,
decisions.
I don't want to be back there. So, if that's you and you're listening, just know that if you keep going, and especially if I think if you plug into Allie and plug into us, you're going to get enough juice to help you make the right decisions and making them quickly. So one of my favorite quotes, again, a Dan Kennedy-ism, is money follows speed. Yeah. Money follows speed. And so making great decisions quickly is wealth will follow you if you do that. If you hem and haw and then you get sidewinded and you put the decision off for 6 months, you just missed 6 months of upside of wealth that you could have had, and you'll never get that back.
Ooh, yeah. Boom.
Mic drop. Boom.
But that's okay. So this is where I wrestle too, the whole money, speed, blah, blah, blah. And then there's sometimes you need to tap the brake, right? Or is that not your style?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be like, you know what? I'm going on a vacation. And when I come back, maybe all this will magically be decided and solved. Is there a part of you?
Oh yeah. Like when I went to the Tole retreat, I completely unplugged for the week and did nothing and had no decision making, and my team handled everything. I did 2 weeks on the Grand Canyon. I was Colorado River with the kids, dream trip, completely unplugged for 2.5 weeks. So yeah, absolutely. There's definitely time and a balance for foot on the brake, foot on the gas. For sure.
And do you plan cycles of the business or seasons, for when it's going to be full on versus more of a maintenance?
Not really.
Okay.
What I do is I see out there what's happened is that because we were the first one to pave the way in coaching for this niche, we now have a lot of little mini competitors nipping at our feet. And I'm working on just doing things to keep us ahead. So competitive advantage type stuff, again, that I know is going to drive us into 8 figures is what I know that is the right thing to do for the business. So we're in a little bit of a ramp up again, just because I'm trying to innovate and stay ahead of the competition. Some of whom used to work for me. So that's always fun, is when you have former employees or clients that now leave your organization to go compete with you. But it happens, guys.
You've had it all. This is like Kris's Hall of Fame.
Hey, almost all the entrepreneurs I talk to, this has happened to. So don't take it personally. It's actually a compliment that they are modeling and copying you, and just keep going, keep pivoting, because if you keep making cool, bold moves, and you're all about bold moves, it doesn't matter. Just do you, and that's what I'm doing now. So it feels so good. It feels so good.
Something I told myself years ago when I was more in the teaching space of doing all the online marketing and stuff, which was very, when you're just sharing information, people can always copy information, but they can't copy who you are. They can't copy how you're staying ahead of the curve. They can't copy how you're leading. And I remember at that moment going, okay, this is a decision. Am I going to get focused on this and these clowns, or am I going to just move forward and keep doing my best work and
That's
leading
right.
the way? And I realized too, if there's a moment I'm getting too caught up in that, I'm not in my purpose. I got to get back on my purpose. So,
That's
so
right.
whenever I get pulled back into even stuff that's non-business related, I'll be like, to get back on purpose. This has nothing to do with me right now. Even all this shit
Yes.
happening in the world right now, like I'll get pulled into things and headlines and things. And I'm like, you know what, get back on purpose. That's the best thing we can do. And it is the power we have having created what we have at this level too, is that certainty and the confidence and knowing that we are making an impact and being
Yeah.
who we are. So that leads into my last question. The name of the show was so important to me. And I didn't pick a name for a while. I was kind of sitting with it and nothing was popping. So I'm kind of left it open, to the team's dismay. They're like, we need a name. I'm like, it's not there yet. It's not ready. And then it
Yeah.
popped and it was the word reward, because when I describe the women around me now in the trust, and yes, they've reached a certain level. You have to be a minimum $1 million revenues to be in the trust, minimum. It's not just about the money though at the same time. So it's hard to explain to people. They're like, well, why does the money matter? Well, it is a certain level of business, acumen and getting there. But the reward is so much greater than that. And so
Yeah.
can you share, it can be part of that, but share all that means to you when you hear what are the rewards of what you've created?
Absolutely. So before I hit the rewards thing, I just want to respond to the 7-figure requirement for the trust, because having been in the trust for 2.5 years, I value the requirement, because being in the trust and spending time to travel to Miami and travel to Scottsdale and put the energy in on the monthly Zooms, you want to have women that are all going to bring a similar level of experience, journey, resources, expertise. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room in any mastermind, and you want a level playing field with the majority of your members so that you can all be in this amazing tribe. So I just wanted to speak to that, because it's not about the money. It's about who you become when you surpass the 7-figure mark and you start playing a different game.
Mm-hmm.
It's about who you are. And all the women in that room are part of that feeling, that vibe. So I just wanted to speak to that, because it's not about the money, but it's about who you become.
Yeah.
So with the reward piece, this year, most especially, but 2020 through now has been the fruition of all of my hard work has shown up. In 2020, we first hit Inc. 5000. That was the year I was able to take my family on the Grand Canyon on a commercial trip. So that was a $25,000 trip, and have experiences. For me, it's about freedom and experiences. And that's why my 911 Porsche, which I bought when I was hanging out with Allie and the girls in Phoenix, means so much to me, because it's a symbolic thing that is experiences and freedom. Like, I can jump in my car and have an incredible experience just driving it, feeling free, and it's about freedom for me. And so the rewards are so great when you put on the work in and you build your team, and they should be great, because we're the entrepreneurs of the world. We're working our asses off. And so for me, the rewards are having my children see me. Number one, having my children see me build an incredible business that has made a difference in other people's lives, making a difference in children's lives. For me, our mission is to make an impact on 1 million kids. And we're close. We're actually recalculating the numbers right now. We may even have surpassed 1 million kids. So
Wow.
1 million children impacted. Yeah, that's really the reward, Allie. At the end of the day, I'm getting chills, is the work that I have done has made life better. And for teachers in an early learning center, daycare center, it's not an easy, it's a very difficult business to get paid 15, 18 bucks an hour to be a preschool teacher. So I want those teachers to be loved on and supported and led and empowered and professionally developed. And so we're working with the leaders of those schools to trickle down to the teachers and then the children, happy parents, happy teachers. So that's what we stand for. And so that's the number one reward. But having my kids they were little when I started this, having mom be gone, potentially shopping stuff all over the country, they also paid a price. I wasn't gone a ton, but I was certainly gone. Maybe I was gone like 1 week a month on average. So a quarter of the time they were without me. And I tried to bring them along on the journey so they could see. And my daughter has been greatly impacted. She's my younger child, and she's totally going to go do amazing. She already has a social media marketing company that she's 17 and she already has clients. So let me just say, she's a badass. I know. So all those rewards, but then for me, as I become an empty nester this year, is I can pretty much, like I said, the world is my oyster. I want to go to Hawaii and spend a couple months snorkeling with turtles because it's what I love. I'm focusing on what I love. And then who knows? Maybe I'll meet a super cute surfer guy. Maybe I will then go travel the world. Maybe I'll buy a house at the Florida beach. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, who knows what I'm going to do? But the ultimate reward is not knowing and just having this, this open-ended life of beauty and creation and cool things that I'm going to go create in my next act. And I have no idea when or if what that's going to look like, but it's just, it's just a cool way to live and to be able to live this way. I just feel very, very blessed. It's the ultimate freedom. And to be, basically now I have enough wealth built that I can just go do whatever. And that is the ultimate to me that's the ultimate reward.
Yeah. I love hearing that. Now, my twins are about to turn 10, so I'm in a different life stage in that way. But what I'm hearing from you is don't snarf your coffee. You're like, oh, Lord, you forgot. So I'm hearing like empty nester, total freedom. I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember what that was like when I'd be like, I'm going to London for a week. Bye.
Right.
But is it also part of our 50s? Like I'm loving my 50s. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Yeah. And those of you younger hearing this are like, yeah, okay. Really though, everything gets so clear and you're so freaking confident and you're very clear what you're interested in and not interested in. And it's just an exciting time for women at our age. It's like we're really stepping into this power that it's a whole new place for our generation is the first to really have these opportunities at this time in our lives at this age. And there's such a power to it. And so Kris, you're actually such a role model for me in so many ways. So I don't know if you know that, but that's why I love talking. I always pull you aside I'm like, can we get a drink? I always grab you at the trust meetings because I'm like, I need to talk to you about something. And just thank you for being you and sharing, all you are in this because it's so inspirational for so many women to hear. I really appreciate it.
Well, you have no idea, Allie, what a fangirl I have been for so many years of you. When I first saw you at that Dan Kennedy Renegade Millionaire with your cool kick-ass cowboy hat on, going up on stage with the guys. And I was like, who's that badass? She's gorgeous. And, so I have been following you and you've been my role model, even though you're younger than me. But having us be role models for each other is like everything to me. that's the best compliment you could have ever given me. So thank you so much because that made my week. But I followed you like how to actually build an audience and do a live event and then pitch coaching from stage. Like you're the one that taught me that. And so if you hadn't done some of those earlier trainings, I might not be here. So thank you for laying out that platform for me and for so many other women.
I don't think many women even know where I came from. It's interesting. So like thinking back to those days and like being one of the first to get on stage and sell like multiple 7 figures in stage sales at an event. And people are like, oh my gosh, really? Like It's fun. It's fun because we get some new members coming in now and they don't really know me. And I'm flattered though they're joining. They obviously see the value of the trust and they're joining because of that, not just because of me. But then we'll be on a Zoom and they're like, "Oh, you used to do big events?" And I'm like, "Oh, honey, get a margarita. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk you through everything."
Yes.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
and we could do a training like that for the trust where I could show all my numbers, like all the math that it takes to pull off a big event and how many units you need in the room. And then how you, like all of that strategy. I think you and I could teach that really, really well. But it's been an amazing ride. And just thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks, Kris. Have a good day and I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Subscribe now to the Reward Podcast to be sure to not miss an episode. And don't forget to visit jointhetrust.org to learn more about our modern community for forward-thinking 7- and 8-figure women entrepreneurs. You can learn more, apply to join us, or refer another woman you know who is over the $1 million mark and is ready for a different type of women's network. We have events coming up both live and online that are truly creating new possibilities for female leaders. That's jointhetrust.org. See you there.